We're going live with this pod, Craig.
I know we
Going
are. So
live.
let me get into the meat of what we're saying.
Oh,
So
storytelling.
you were telling the group that you believe in a holiday, gift. It's a Christmas bonus, as you called it, and that you reward each team member a certain amount of money for every year of tenured service that they've given to the practice. So if someone's been there multiple years, they get a larger reward, which met with like vehement criticism, Peter. It was like Harvard business study shows that this and that. I mean, let's just out it. It was Trey and Dwight, the Ghost of Christmas Past and the Scrooge, as heretofore known. But they got really upset about that. So unpack your logic of
Yeah.
why
So,
you feel so
well,
strongly about
a
this.
little more context too. So the discussion was over, um, essentially, to Christmas bonus or not, um, and which I replied like, not only do I yes do a Christmas bonus, but it doesn't abate in any way to the monthly or year end bonus as well. It's an add on,
Well,
and
so it's a
yes,
Christmas gift. It's not
it's
really a
a
bonus.
Christmas. Well, it's a bonus. It's bonus, and it's accretive to the number of years that they've been. And
Right, but it
and
it
so
it
that
just
was
gets
met
a
with
little bit more
huge
confusing.
skepticism. It's
It
not
gets more
really.
confusing when you say bonus, because then they were saying, "Well, what if you bonus out in December and they get a Christmas bonus on top of the bonus?" And that's when I was trying to get some concessions
Yeah,
there.
so
Maybe
maybe
it's
it
a
was a
gift.
semantic war that we were having,
Yeah,
but
I think you
but
were having a semantic war.
well, we did break it down, and then there were several people who are not don't give any kind of Christmas gift bonus, whatever you want to call it, right? It's not a financial anything. There's a party, potentially the parties at the office, which I didn't agree with as well.
Well,
Um, and but like this is this is the beautiful thing. I was sitting there actually, Craig, when we were having that discussion, as hot and heated and as fun as it was, and we were all laughing. It just kind of we couldn't believe the other side.
yeah,
It was just amazing because like the dentist, this is something we always say, like it still works, right? It's
yeah,
completely different. Dwight's practice works, Trey's practice works, people on the mastermind, their practice works, and it's just kind of where you feel led, so to
right.
speak. And I feel led, and maybe it's been just over time. I feel led to give a bonus, a Christmas gift bonus, whatever it is, based on seniority, meaning and with no cap.
Right,
And
I
and
just
the
thought it was
and the
funny.
cap came up too, which was funny.
Yeah.
Someone's like, "Well, I do it, and we cap it at we do $50 a year, and we cap
Yeah.
it at
Oh, yeah,
five
cap
years."
for 4 years.
Yeah, and I was like, "Well,
I
yeah, because
thought
heaven forbid you keep people on longer than
yeah, because people can
5 years."
get really destructive after 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so and I know that's just we're having fun with it, but it was interesting how polarizing and then it became like again, I guess maybe you're right, more of a semantic war on we started getting, well, here's the study that shows that incentives don't work and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it went on beyond we hung up the phone 2 hours later, I'm getting, like, Harvard business studies about why bonuses don't work. I'm like, "Holy shit."
I personally, and this is just my personal, I am a fan of incentives and bonus. Like it's not Warren Buffett, it's Warren Buffett's partner who had this quote that said, you show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. And I think that, and basically that Harvard business study that Dwight said tried to refute that whole thing. And in my experience, and look, I only know, Craig, I have a confirmational bias. I only
Yeah,
know
we all do.
what I have done, and so it feels good. Feels good at Christmas time. Sometimes it's tough because, like, God dang, that's a lot of money going for a bonus or a gift. God dang, that's a lot of money for a party. But it always feels good to provide that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
also
that's
think
just
that
our stance.
yeah, and I like it,
I'd love to hear people's comments on, even on as you can comment on either Bulletproof Dental, which is our mighty network, or you can comment on their YouTube channel. I think that's
yeah,
primarily why we did
answer all those
YouTube too,
comments,
is
but
so
I'd love to
the
hear what are
comments
your
are awesome.
thoughts?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one? For sure. I'm in your camp. I wanna do the Christmas gift, especially this year for my team because we were short-staffed and we didn't wanna just bring on additional bodies. We wanted to hire really good people. And my team, the average person on my team was doing like 1.2 jobs. Everybody's been stretched. So I'm excited to do that for this year. And I just think it feels good. And listen, you're the way the formula works for you, the way you devised it, people get incented for tenure. So God willing, those checks get bigger and bigger and bigger. You want to keep the same great people on your team. And I think it's a great gift. And people have come to expect it. And also I'm just leery of Harvard Business School in general. No offense to Harvard in particular, but when you
I
look at
doubt they're
the
listening, Craig. I
they're
think you're
not,
okay.
but I'll encompass like all the major Ivy League business schools and the ivory towers that are around. I think that when you listen to the podcast and the voices that we're listening to, you hear about this massive wave of layoffs that's coming, and it's not from like people that actually provide the majority of the layoffs are not the people that are providing the services on the ground level. It's the elite educated business consultants
It's the
within the
ivory
companies.
tower academics,
It
right?
is. It is. And if Elon pulls this off where he, he's going to be able to strip all the fat out of
Wait,
Twitter and
we're
still
going to
maintain.
Elon. We're jumping to Elon. We're going from
Well, I'm just
Christmas
saying
bonus
like
to Elon.
he's the one that's saying like, hey, we don't need these elite educated people to run this company.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
and that's tying it back to the Harvard thing, because everybody will remain nameless in who I was with last week, but I was with a bunch of people that are very smart and very well paid. And we were talking about, I'm helping this company. And the interesting thing was they had videos on their YouTube channel, and they're all very smart people and all very well trained, but they had videos on their YouTube channel that were counter to the product and messaging they were trying to support. So immediately I'm like, give me the password. I'll get these videos off, because you and I know how to take videos down on our own
Right.
YouTube channels, like in a second. But a Harvard Business School guy may not know how to do that. So that's why when it comes,
a CMO's job. Right?
that's a CMO's job. And then we have to get an email and a directive and pass it through corporate. And I'm just kind of bringing that full circle because, when Harvard Business School says that Christmas bonuses are not effective, maybe it's a different scale of company.
Well, in full defense of it, it said it was arguing against incentives. And then I guess we got into the semantic war of like, that's, I was like, Dwight, I was saying that's not an incentive. That's just a year-end thank you for going above and beyond, and I do disagree with tenure. Tenure relates to tenure as
Okay,
it
yeah.
relates to just, I've been present for X amount of time and therefore I should get more. And so I did hear that argument. And for me, it's basically, if you exist in my ecosystem, you're bringing a tremendous amount of value, because my team will cut the fat, so to speak, right? Just like Elon, my team will even do it. They'll cut the fat and be like, this person is not performing, not pulling their weight.
Yeah.
And like they will protect the house. And so tenure in my environment is warranted.
Yeah, of course.
Bonus situation, just in this little Christmas bonus, because it's like,
Yeah.
look, I want to reward that, and it's cool to have it to watch it build year over year a little bit. Some people have $1,500 bonuses, some people have 100. And obviously it's different based on the years you were there.
Yeah,
that's a significant change. I mean, that's a
Oh,
significant.
I agree with you. And if you look at this text chain from this, it's 4 Harvard Business Review studies all in a row. 4.
Right.
And I just think that at a certain point, I just don't know if Harvard Business Review has as much. I'm just saying that I prefer the knowledge of a specific person like you, and I value Dwight and Trey immensely. But when you start pulling Harvard in to try to run our businesses, I just think there's holes and biases there as well. That's all I wanted to say. It's not that I don't think Harvard's a great school.
The biggest data point in that whole conversation, and then we'll wrap on this, was that, we had a member basically say, hey, I remember when my wife as a dentist got a bonus, and then I worked at a different practice, and once upon a time, and I didn't get a bonus. And I was like, well, how'd that make you feel, kind of thing? And it was like shitty.
Yeah.
Like, that's my point.
He said that.
Is that these people who are not going to quote unquote get bonused, if their colleagues or friends that work at other practices in the town, if they hear about it, all of a sudden now well, I didn't get that. Now now they start questioning everything, Craig. And we just got out of like the most difficult hiring process from COVID ever, and all these things. And so the last thing I want is like uncertainty of people thinking that they're not being taken care of by the company. And so, is there a quote ROI on this? Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It reminds me of that quote. It's not everything that counts can be counted. And
There you
sometimes
go.
that's all that, I mean,
that's a good.
well, it's just, I mean, at a certain, no, I have a personal charge right now because, seeing a lot of big shakeups in larger companies, and the studies and the business reviews, I just feel are getting more and more obsolete. Like without getting tangential, it's kind of like the way specialty training is going right now too. You're
Mm.
seeing a crumbling, the beginning of the first crack in the ivory tower of specialty, where you don't necessarily have to go for 3 or 4 years. You could go and get trained up after. So I see we're at the precipice of a large disruption in higher levels of education. I'm not saying that dental school will go down, but the higher levels of dental specialization, or specialization in business school and stuff like that. It's just interesting to me. We might be early, but I think we beat that one up pretty good. But speaking about businesses, if you don't mind, what do you think about, because we're hearing about blood on the streets and that the recession yet hasn't started, but there's signs that it's going to start. What do you think are in your ecosystem? Because I know you're a member of YPO and you got a lot of good voices in your ear. What do you think about capital being drying up, and valuations and ability to borrow and stuff like that? Anything happening yet?
Yeah. I mean, Bud, so much of the deals in our environment, whether it's SaaS or dentistry or roll-ups or this and that, are predicated on debt, right?
Yeah, SaaS is subscription as a service, so software businesses.
Yeah,
Just explain
software.
that.
So I'm going to draw into dentistry. The cost of capital has gone up. When DSOs are using leverage, i.e. debt, someone else's money, a bank's money, when the cost of funds, cost of capital goes up, it changes everything, because now the yield has to be far greater than the interest rate at which you borrow, or else it's not a good deal, right? And so, 30-year home mortgages are in the 7% range,
Isn't that crazy?
right? So mezzanine and bridge loans and venture loans and things like that are way higher, because the higher reward, the higher the risk, therefore the higher the rate. So the cost of capital has gone up, therefore things are going to dry up.
Well, valuations are still holding pretty robust though, which is interesting. All right, I'm seeing
for now.
friends getting big.
For now, look, it's a recalibration, just like anything. It's a recalibration, just like in home prices, Greg. So when interest rates were at 3% for home values, what was happening in Florida? Like, your house went up 100% in value,
Right.
right? And it hasn't been, the lead indication hasn't been attributed yet to the 7%. It's not. It takes a long time.
Right. And the Fed's saying they'd rather break the economy because they have tools to fix it than to not slow it down fast enough. So they know they have tools to fix a broken economy. They don't have tools to slow it down. So they're going to be raising even more. So I think what we're saying here is
tools, Greg.
Well, that's what they say. But I'm just
saying they have one tool.
Print money.
Nope. Well, okay.
Well, that's a tool though.
Raise interest rates.
Right. Well, that's to slow it down. But if they raise interest rates so much that everything goes into a grinding halt, they can print money, is what I'm saying. That's a tool. It's a shitty tool, but that's a tool. So I think what's happening, rates are rising, valuations are still high. I have dentist friends that are closing now and have just closed recently on ridiculous valuations.
Wouldn't you agree that printing money, this is just a side note, but I was listening to a pod the other day, and some guy used a term, and I was like, you know what, he's kind of right. He said that quantitative easing, right, i.e. printing money,
right,
is really no different than counterfeiting.
Right, but the whole world has agreed to accept this counterfeit currency.
Oh, okay, right, because the dollar denomination.
Right. So he who controls the dollar.
Let's say you and I wanted to increase the dollar amount, and we made our own. Right, we tried to make our own. We go to jail for counterfeiting.
Right. It is counterfeit, but as long as everybody's in agreement of it, then it's not. It's not.
Is everyone in agreement?
Well, I mean, maybe not you, Mr. Crypto, but
no, it's not even a crypto thing. Congress, even. I mean, look at how Manchin, the spend.
Well, listen, everybody
prevented. He should get a Nobel Prize for preventing that extra $3 trillion of infrastructure act that he blocked.
Right. I know that. But of all the people, of all the actors that print money, the U.S. is amongst the best because we have the world's reserve currency. So
that's the only reason
right. But that's what I'm saying. We're the best because everybody has agreed by consensus that we are allowed to print / counterfeit. It's fine.
Consensus meaning the petrodollar, but
whatever. So speaking of consensus, let's bounce to crypto for a second, Mr. Crypto. Let's talk to you about consensus and crypto. I
Okay,
want to
ask
see where
away.
you are. I want to see what's going on with Bitcoin's obviously holding its value right now, but we've,
All
with
right, I'm gonna go
SBF
on
and
a
all that
little
stuff.
bit of
I want to hear this.
I want to go on
We
a little
haven't talked about
monologue.
it.
It's probably gonna shock a lot of people. This week, I converted all of my holdings to Bitcoin, all Ethereum, everything. My portfolio consists of 99.5% Bitcoin.
Right.
What do you mean, right?
No,
That's
you
not
told me.
breaking.
You told.
That's
Well,
not
you told.
breaking news to you.
That's well, not really. You actually you gave me the news a couple of days ago. Definitely, like I sold everything. I'm like, did you
I
really?
wanted to see what
You're
you
like,
did.
gotcha. You got me though. Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
that's good. I mean, I think if you have to bet on
well, let's
one,
back up. Let me give you some. Let me give you some. So this year has been rough in crypto, and me personally, as a crypto speculator, right, investor, or someone
you've
who
never
believes.
identified yourself as a crypto speculator.
Well, look, you're
There's a little bit of
speculating that
concession in
today.
that.
No,
You've always been a hodler and a Bitcoin maximalist, crypto maximalist.
I'm speculating that it will go higher one day
Right. I know.
with high conviction. Why is that?
Yes. I just like the fact that you're now a speculator. It sounds a
Okay.
little bit more realistic.
Okay. Well, look, investment is that's. I mean, let's not kid yourself. No one buys something with the
I know.
intention of going
I'm just
lower.
a word guy, and I don't think I've ever heard you call yourself a speculator. I'm just enjoying that.
I'm an optimistic speculator.
Okay, got it. Then call yourself an investor
So look, between the crashes this year, again, this year has been rough for the industry.
for sure.
But I want to do a 30,000 foot view because everyone's like, oh, crypto's dead. And look, so we had Celsius first, which I
Right.
got caught in, right? Celsius, where they
That was that
basically
stable coin that you said that was
Yep.
pegged.
No, that was the Luna. But
Okay.
Celsius was basically over leveraging some customer funds, and it turned into a bankruptcy situation. A lot of these companies like Voyager and Celsius and people had exposure to Luna, which Luna was Do Kwon's coin, which was on the Luna, the Terra ecosystem. Luna Terra, you heard about it?
No, I've not. But
Well,
I'm
people had
listening.
exposure to it because there was this system where it was getting, I talked about it on the pod actually, where it was giving you, it was a peg 20% interest rate, right?
Right.
On a
Is that the
stable
one
coin.
you asked me to borrow money for?
No, I did not.
No, didn't you say like, "Hey, can you loan me money?" And I'm like, "If you need it, I'll give it to you." Like, "No, I want to invest it in something." I remember you saying that to me. I
I
don't
don't
remember what it
know.
was.
Hopefully I was kidding. And
You probably were kidding.
thank God you didn't give it to me. All right. So then we had the Luna crash, which essentially it went from a stable coin down to being worth 5 cents now. Stable coin meaning worth $1 down to 5 cents. Okay. And then,
Right.
and so obviously there's a cascade of events, correct, that happens when all these things happen, and it weakens the whole environment. And now with the SBF thing, it really was almost, in my opinion, the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, so just for the listener who doesn't
When
know
I
who's
say
been
the nail in the coffin, okay.
right, but I want to
Let me go.
unpack the SBF thing too for the person who's been living under a rock or doesn't understand what that is.
So Sam Bankman-Fried, you want to
Yeah.
unpack that?
Yeah, just quickly
So
unpack that. Because right now,
FTX,
if you're just a casual listener of what's going on in the world, you
everyone's
may
heard about this, bud.
no, you may see him on the Good Morning America show, and he seems like a nice guy, like kind of like mea culpa, no big deal. Just wasn't really on top of my books, no big deal. But let's unpack exactly what he did
So
and why it's
FTX was one of the biggest, I think the second largest exchange. And so basically what he would do is he would take in, Tom Brady was endorsing him. He had
yeah, they had the Miami Arena too.
Had
The
the
FTX.
Miami Arena, bought the naming rights to the arena. And basically FTX was taking customer funds. And then he had FTX, and then he had Alameda Research. And his whole fraudulent past, if you dig into his story, right? Like he was this mythical guy who started FTX. And he was mythical, Greg, because he said he made billions of dollars on arbitrage back in Bitcoin in the years like 2015, 16.
Yeah, believable.
And
Potentially.
basically what he would do, and he made these big believable stories that like, look, we were buying Bitcoin in the US and then basically taking it over on ledger drives over to Korea, where there was a spread of $3,000 or $4,000 more per Bitcoin, right? Because their access to it was so much limited. So it was a geographical arbitrage. And he's like, we were printing money. People were flying over on 747s. We were just doing it all day, right? And so it was like, and that was the Alameda Research. So he had two fronts. One was Alameda Research, which was basically his piggy bank, and one was
Right.
the FTX exchange. So basically, he was taking customer funds
Right.
on FTX, giving people FTX tokens and then taking the capital, all
Right.
being based in Bahamas. His
Right.
premise was too, he's very philanthropic. He wanted to tell you he was philanthropic at every point. So he
Yeah.
was one of the second largest
Second
Democratic
largest
donor.
donator to the Democratic Party outside of George Soros, $40 million.
He bought news stories. He's
Yep.
paid off the New York Times. So he is now going around on the apology tour.
Do you think he's going to get prosecuted?
Dude, this story, honestly, this is worse than Madoff.
No, I know. Worse than Madoff, worse than Enron, worse than all these. But the big question is Madoff went to jail for life. You know, the guys from Enron either killed themselves or faced huge criminal penalties. Do you think that this guy gets prosecuted and sentenced? In your gut, what do you think? Well, we can. This is just.
I don't know.
We'll talk about it in 6 months.
Says no.
My gut says no as well. He has too many friends in high places, and I don't think he gets prosecuted, which is crazy because literally, did you see Elon put a little post about him on Twitter?
No.
He puts a Pornhub header and puts SBS face on it. Says man simultaneously F's 5 million people at once.
Elon is craziest.
It's great.
The number one troll on the.
But listen, I mean, you're the guy who always wore the decentralize everything T-shirt, but this is kind of like what you get when you decentralize and
no,
because there are bad actors.
No. Okay, so
I'm
glad you bring this up.
Okay, tell me the nuance.
An exchange is so there's silver lining in all this happening. I wish we had more time on this. So I do believe you should decentralize everything. An exchange, though, Craig, is centralization, meaning you are sending your coins to an exchange and you say, "Hey, keep my keys."
So he made the friction. Yeah.
And when you have the keys, there's a saying in crypto Twitter, it's not my coins. I'm sorry, not my keys, not my coins. So if I send money to Coinbase, if I send my Bitcoin to Coinbase or buy it and leave it there, they are the custodian of my keys. They are really the true owner of it.
Got it.
And ask me how I know, because my funds got caught on Celsius. And in their terms of service, it actually says we are a bank.
Yeah, they collateralize it.
Collateralize the position. So it's not really, it's mine. It's attributed to my account, but is it really mine? So the whole thing with Bitcoin and crypto is not your keys, not your coins, is get it off of centralized exchanges, meaning get it into storage, get it into your own custody, get it, use ledger devices, things like that, right? So get it into your own custody where you don't have to ask anyone's permission and you're not buying on leverage. I think leverage in just general is bad for crypto.
Right.
But I'm glad
it's volatile.
I'm glad you bring this up because that's not the same thing. So,
well, it's going to usher in a new wave of regulation.
Well, this is going back to the first wave of why and look, he was the wolf in sheep's. He was in the meetings with the SEC.
No, he was making he was going to be the one that was going to make
some of the
regulation.
So
they were actually asking him, literally, it was the fox in the hen house. They were literally saying, "How do we devise
fox in the hen house?" I was saying wolf in sheepskin clothing.
I like that too. I like that too. He could have been a fox in sheep's clothing in the hen house.
So here's why.
But what's going to happen then?
Here's what
massive regulation,
draconian move into converting online, because
right.
I believe that regulation is coming faster than we know now, and I think this was the inflection point for what should happen. Because there's going to be too much that happens from this. There's too.
So then, let me ask you a focused question. So, what happens to Bitcoin? Does it become a security?
Okay. So I think they've already announced Gary Gensler. I'm sorry,
Fed chair.
Let's call it Jay Clayton. Even Jay Clayton, who was 4 years ago the Fed chairman, had a large interview with CNBC where he essentially came out and said Bitcoin is a commodity.
Right.
No different than as we pull gas out of the ground. It's a commoditized thing. And people may say, well, what about Ethereum? What about this, that, and the other? Bitcoin also didn't have something called a pre-mine, meaning that let's say you and I wanted to start the Bulletproof coin. And I was like, hey, dude, we're going to start this Bulletproof coin, but I'm going to give you like 20% and me like 20% of it. And then we'll put 60% on the open market and sell it. Mm-hmm. You're like, awesome, great idea. That's essentially what Ethereum did. 20% of Bitcoin's initial token allocation was a pre-mine. to the
Got it.
foundation
Like,
and the
so
founders.
pegged to, yeah.
So this is why they're going to look at this from a security. I mean, potentially, right? Bitcoin. I mean, Ethereum has tons of utility. Almost everything is based on it. So I think that would be bad if Ethereum does. I think the only two that will survive
But
the
obviously you
SECs.
think it's bad enough because you got out of
I
Ethereum and
did
moved
because
to
honestly,
Bitcoin.
to me, the risk wasn't worth the reward. And when I say that is, I mean that I look back at my history and when I've seen Ethereum go up, let's say it's $1,000. When I saw it go to $3,000, Bitcoin also went from $10,000 to $30,000. So the same incremental growth happened. My exposure to Bitcoin was very pari passu with that of
Right.
Ethereum. And so I
So
was like,
you just think it's a more
what am I
likely winning
risking?
horse. Yeah.
Well, it's already been
There's no
established.
asymmetric upside
Gary
risk.
Gensler.
Yeah.
Gary Gensler is the new SEC. He used to teach a class of cryptocurrency at MIT that basically went over the fact that it is a commodity. So, Craig,
By the way, this is also
plane.
this is also reminiscent of like the Peter Maluk pods we had. We were pushing him on this. He's like, listen, I am not saying that the blockchain and or crypto doesn't have a future. He says, just like the same way that what was the early search engines, Lycos and Yahoo were going to be the dominant search players. He knew search engines were going to be a thing. He just didn't know it was going to be Lycos, AOL, or Google. So
Right.
he mentioned the same thing as like now we're finally capitulating, a year or two later, like, yeah, the winners are appearing to be certain players that would have been very different if we chose them 2 years ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also it's the immaculate conception of Bitcoin, meaning no pre-mine. There's no tip of the spear, meaning there's not a foundation or someone who's in charge of it.
Right, but
Which
there is
makes
enough. There's
makes it
enough.
more of a commodity, right?
Right.
Ethereum has a foundation. So all these other ones have foundations and founders, and if they don't pass what's called the Howey test, and the Howey test is somehow something the SEC basically looks at. So in order to fully land this plane and just get off of it, it was a tough year. I think ultimately it serves very good for crypto. No different than when the housing industry blows up, right? It is a cleansing that happens. But if you look back, so everyone's like, oh my God, it's been stable at like $16,000, $17,000. Okay, but rewind to 2017.
Yeah.
$17,000 was pandemonium levels. People were losing their shit and mortgaging their house.
Yeah.
So as long as I see higher lows, right?
Yeah, you've seen lower lows, so you should be happy.
Definitely seen lower lows. As long as
I hear
higher
it.
lows over
You're
time.
very consistent, Peter. You're always very consistent. Your dialogue really hasn't changed, which I admire your conviction. I think I've mentioned on the pod, I bounced out in May of 2021, never looked back. But
does it feel good right now? No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But guess what? Even as of last week, I am still dollar cost averaging every day, every week, all the time.
Dude, that is freaking crazy. I really I totally, listen, when I think there's certain things that are you like a little bit of risk. You like adventure too.
100%.
So
if I don't have risk or adventure or drama in my life, I'll create it.
Right.
You are right.
Right. So I think
Somewhat of a sociopath that way.
So no, it works for you, but I mean, it's just you and I think very differently. I did not looking at my Coinbase and seeing that I was up, 100 grand one day and down 200 grand the next day and 300. It was the euphoria was not working for me.
I'm also a pretty big libertarian too, Craig, which is why I'm big, like, don't tread on me, So
no, I agree.
Also resonated with it. So
I agree. But remember during COVID, by the way, when you went to your bank, you're like, I want to withdraw my money. They're like, how much? And you're like, my money. Like, we can't give you your money.
No, it wasn't even all my money. It wasn't like, give me all my money.
It was enough that like freaked you out that it wasn't available to you.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be bank run, right? I remember going to the grocery store the night before.
I remember I was on the phone with you.
Yeah, and I was
you're like, go to the.
I'm putting on a mask, and you're like, what for? And I was like, I feel like this China virus is about to crush us.
Yeah, I remember this whole thing. It was late at night. It was like 10 o'clock.
And I took one of my kids with me too. And so
were we on the phone with? We were texting with somebody else too, maybe Dwight or something like that. But I remember we were talking about this.
I was like, all right, shit. There was a line last night at the grocery store.
Right.
Almost like when a snowstorm comes.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only one thinking that. And I was like, guess what? There's going to be a run on the bank. People are going to freak out. And so I went to the bank the next day and I was like, hey, I want to take out some money. They're like, no problem. How much? And I think, being a little.
It was like 20 grand, I think, right?
Animal. Yeah, I think it was a 20 or 50.
They couldn't do it.
Maybe 20 grand. And it was like, we'll be right back. And I was like, what? And they're like, we can't do that much amount.
I remember you called me right
And I
away.
was like, dude, Greg, when I say I lost
Yeah,
my shit, I was like, where
I know.
is it? They're like, it's not here. I was like, where is it?
Yeah,
I gave it to you here. Where is it? Well,
yeah.
we can't give you
We've
that kind
loaned
of
it to
money.
somebody for
I was like,
6%. What do you
isn't
mean?
this the bank?
Yeah.
It just freaked me out. And they're like,
Well, I mean,
we'll have to order it from the Fed. It took 4 weeks for me to get that money.
that's crazy.
So
That's crazy.
anyway,
Well, I mean, look,
let,
there's obviously at that point was a low point, but look at what happened. I mean, the CARES Act and so many other things happened, and a lot of
totally.
people.
I'm not
And,
saying bad things happen. It was shocking. And
no, I
look,
know, but
if you
we
read
were
the terms of service, Craig, going back to crypto, if you read the terms of service for your bank, you will see the same thing.
Oh
Just
yeah,
because you think
but
it's
look at
your money, it's
TikTok's
not your
terms of
money.
service. Look at Apple's terms of services. Have you ever read the 40-page document?
No,
Like,
have you?
there's like a South Park. I don't read any document, buddy. I don't read any document, but like there's a South Park.
Love
Like you didn't
details.
read. We asked you to agree twice. You sure you want to agree? The rest is pretty funny. But I mean, speaking
You
of the
love a
CARES
South
Act, by
Park.
the way, kind of a pivot here. I
Well,
remember when
wait. I do want to go to that, but
okay,
I want to
what, the Cartman
fully
episode?
I want to fully land the plane on the crypto thing, because I know I'm going to get some. I don't know. I
Well,
feel like
do
I'm
me a
going to get some
favor.
heat.
If you agree with Peter or you disagree, please post in the comments. We need to hear what our audience is thinking about that. I'd love to hear it. Go on YouTube, even if you don't watch us, but go in there and leave a comment. Love to hear what people think.
Yeah, but that being said, I do feel, and this is not financial advice, I feel like if there is regulation, if we do get an ETF, and if we do get, I feel like the dam is going to break, and Bitcoin will be the obvious choice.
I love it. Listen, I fully agree that if cryptocurrency does what it's supposed to do, Bitcoin 100% will be the obvious choice. I got that advice that I got in May of 2021, and so far it's almost been prophetic, because of, and listen, it's a threat to a lot of governments, and governments don't want to lose control.
Right.
I mean, we can all agree that one thing we've learned in the last 2 years is governments like to have control.
But
Let's talk about,
every day that it's in existence, though, it becomes
yeah,
a
every
little
day
bit
it doesn't
stronger.
blow up. I agree with you.
So,
Let's talk about
anyway.
how the government can help, though. I want to talk about the CARES Act, and one thing that was interesting when I brought it up to you. So many of you are,
I'm glad you talked
many
about
of you are
this.
familiar about the ERC credit, the employee retention credit. And I consider Peter a very, very savvy business person, extremely savvy, in fact. And when I mentioned it to him, actually, one of our, people in the network or something had said, like, can I get that? And yet, Peter, there's so many credits and incentives and stuff like that a lot of people still don't know about this. You didn't know about it. You're like, nah, I didn't qualify for that. And
Well, because I asked my CPA, Craig,
right,
who
I'm not
wasn't a
saying you were.
specialist in
I
that. And
was
he was
trying
like,
to
hey, you
bring.
don't apply. I know.
Yeah,
I'm just putting in some comments.
what I'm really trying to say is that I consider you a sophisticated business person, and the fact that you were like, nah, that doesn't work for me. And then come to find out how much money is still being allocated for the employee retention credit. It is ridiculous. Like, I'm like just shocked at what's going on.
Yeah, let me jump in here because I
Please.
think this is crazy. So, of course, I thought it was a little bit when I heard it again. I was like, look, I've gotten PPP1, PPP2, like another ERC. I get a retention thing. I was like, this is hocus pocus. This is
Right. Isn't that what PPP was for? PPP is the
scamming.
employee retention.
Yeah. And so basically what this was, Greg, is this was signed into law, but it's not that common because honestly, a lot of our dental colleagues that didn't really, I asked people and not everyone is taking advantage of this.
Or they've done it and they did it wrong, unfortunately.
Did it wrong.
Yeah.
It was signed into law in March of 2020, and in the CARES Act, so it was kind of based on COVID. And so basically business owners can receive refundable credits per employee in 2020, and then for each quarter.
By the way, it's not a tax credit. That's actually money written to you.
Yeah, not a tax, not a credit.
Yeah,
so
well, it is a retention credit,
but
it's a
refund, Craig. When they did it, your total refund can be up to $26,000 per employee.
Yeah.
Right?
So, Peter, you and I are living proof of that. And we've been really fortunate. We created an alignment with a company, and we have a page that we built called Bulletproof ERC.com. And we were able to go through the process and receive significant funds. And unfortunately, some of our masterminders and some of our network have gone through their local CPA, and people are like, oh, I can do that crap. Yeah, I know how to do that. And they got really anemic checks. And we only know this because we know what our top line revenue is. So we could pretty much figure out what our salaries and expenditures for team is. And then we can assimilate or approximate what at a size of an ERC credit. And one of our guys like has a very large practice and got an ERC credit that's 30 grand, which is like a fraction of what we got. So the good news, he was able to go see my buddy Norm, who's over there at Bulletproof ERC, and they're going to be able to repair or amend his return. In other words, he got it for 2020, but he has more money for 2021, which is awesome.
And you've known Norm forever. So when
yeah, literally Norm's one of my besties. I've known him for 10 years and he's just awesome. But he'll actually, because the process is so extremely difficult, he will actually fill out the application with you. And there's 2 ways to do it, by the way.
I couldn't believe the amount, Craig. Honestly, I was like, did you calculate this amount right? Like, is this right?
Oh, the amount of the credit. Yeah.
Credit.
Yeah. You don't,
this doesn't
you didn't believe it. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And so I was like, well, but look, they're just like a lot of government things. They put an allocation of funds, a bucket of funds, and they say, hey, come apply. But it's not like, and honestly, like, who knows how long it will last. So if you're listening to this and you were in business in 2020 and 2021 and you haven't utilized this as a dentist, like, I would not delay, because
like, do it right away.
The funds will be available.
Right? Yeah, you must do it right away.
Even though they say the deadlines are like,
it's 2024. 2024. Yeah, you have to be done before 2025, but do not wait. This is, but this is also, it's an allocation of funds. And if it gets utilized beforehand, when the funds run out, you're done.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's a little bit of an urgency. I couldn't believe from going from my CPA saying, hey, you don't qualify, to then basically getting told, with someone who specializes in that, like Norm, that like, here's the amount that you are due. And I was like, what? So anyway, what was the thing is, is
bulletprooferc.com, bulletprooferc.com. It's judging on what I've heard, people have told me, yeah, I got that. When we dig deep, we can actually see that people unfortunately have not received the appropriate level of credit.
Yeah, you see, I put it in the scrolling banner.
I do see that's pretty damn cool.
I'm pretty good. I mean, hey, I'm getting pretty good with this on the fly video production.
Yeah, but that's an important thing. Is there anything else that's going on in your world? Anything else that's going on? We covered, I think, a lot of ground here.
No.
What's your plans for Christmas outside of giving a Christmas gift?
Yeah, outside of giving an incentive that I shouldn't be giving, according to Harvard.
Yeah, 4 different articles in Harvard. Harvard thinks you're going to run your business.
We're having a cool Christmas party, right?
What are you doing?
We are going to, I believe we're going bowling. We have high-end bowling places.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said it's a cool Christmas party.
It was cool. Dude, we have cool stuff in Atlanta. I know in South Florida, you just have Corvettes and blonde spiky hair, but
yeah. Magnum PI and Don Johnson. That's all. Yeah, we're stuck in like 98. Yeah. Exactly.
Freaking Miami Vice.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Well, look, I mean, let's talk about the real thing. What'd you do? You went to Cabo with your whole team back in like September or July, right? Well, that was amazing.
That was the team bonus from the year for 2021, right? So it takes a lot of time. So when they hit their, we have tiers, Craig. The way we do it is we have tiers of, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And then we have yearly stuff. And then we have the big ass stretch goals that are called our beach goals. And, and so again, writing a check to go for 45 people to go to Cabo is not fun, but you remember back that it's like, and everyone's thanking me. I'm like, you're the one who earned it.
Oh, I love that. I've done the same thing. Yeah. Compensation drives behavior.
That gave you a trip. You earned it.
I always do the same exact thing. It's not, don't thank me. Thank you. You're the one who did it. It's so true.
That was cool. What about you? What's up? What's up?
No, the Christmas party is actually, I'm inserting myself into one of your earlier punchlines. It's at the office. So we're actually doing it at the office, but we are doing a Christmas gift this year, similar to what you do. It's $100 per person per year they've been here. So that's going to feel really good. And then I'm just gonna be hanging out with the family. I get a lot of downtime, but I'll probably just be, off grid. Yeah, at the farm doing my thing.
You've become quite the Southern gentleman, I have to say.
I don't know about that.
Your farm and your, I have to say, your Instagram. If you don't follow Craig, follow him. He'll show you that he's become. You've come a long way from the Big Bird driving the
The white Porsche.
the
Yeah,
white
what a
Porsche,
great story. I
to
mean,
now
I
I've
mean,
converted you into
yeah.
like this.
Well,
I don't know if I've
it's like a
converted you,
drug.
but
Well, I think you have a lot to do with it. It's like
my
the entry
relentless
drug.
shaming.
Well, I mean, like, listen, you shame me out of my Porsche into a Raptor, and then like you find a need. Like what's it? Human beings like greatest motivations to stay consistent with who they identify with. So like you
Mhm.
drive a Raptor, you're like, maybe I should have some cows. And next thing you know, it's like,
Maybe I should buy a power tool or two.
yeah, maybe I should get you get a Makita, you get a chainsaw, get a couple of sleeveless shirts. Fast forward 3 years later, you got
Fast forward, you
28
got
head of cattle.
100 acres and a head of cattle
Yeah.
outside in the woods, and you can spend all your time there.
Oh, it's so funny. But I was texting Peter the other day, all kidding aside. I'm like, dude, you got to get out here. You have a tract. Oh, it's so amazing. I hope you really do come. That'd be so fun.
There's something so I don't know what it is about land, and I'm romantic about a piece of land right now that I
You should
don't
be.
own, and it's just like there's something about a man or a human owning a piece of land that's just,
Oh, of
especially
course.
when it's big, right? You start thinking about it in terms of like my kids could get married here, and this could be a legacy piece, and what if this is a family
Yes.
compound, and look at all the things you could do, and you start envisioning all these things you can do, and you're experiencing it. But I'm right now like,
Yeah.
okay, winter's coming. We've always said this, Craig. The winter's coming with the economy. Is now the best time to be plopping down a large chunk of money that could then stress me out 6 months from now if I hadn't bought that land. And so
Yeah,
I'm
but
in
if you
this.
zoom out, though, Peter, and you look at the economic return on land, and you zoom out enough to kind of regulate out those little bumps up and down. I mean,
Mhm.
overall, it's been a fantastic investment. If you're
Oh,
telling me I
I
want to
think
buy you're talking about your kids getting married. Your oldest child is minimally like 20 years, 15 years, 20 years away from getting married. So if you look at that timeline, Peter, then absolutely you do it, man. I think it's, yeah,
yeah, it's a everyone who's a big fan of it is like it's a no brainer and
it's
blah
a
blah blah. But
no-brainer, bro.
it's
No-brainer.
but also, Craig, I don't want. I know as much as you think I seek adventure, I do, but I don't want to. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night being like, "Holy shit, I just plunked down." Because guess what? Banks don't loan very favorably and to a large degree on
On
a loan
vacant
to
land.
value on land. They do
Oh,
not
for
like
sure not.
lending
Yeah.
on land. So this is we you and I talk about winter's coming and dry powder and have your stuff. And so for me I have a small window to buy it, but deploying this much dry powder at something like that makes me a little uneasy. But in the long term, zoomed out, I know you're right. I know you're right. I won't regret it.
Yeah.
I want
Plus
to
the
close.
utility of it too. I mean, that's listen, if I was told I could have my property but never allow a friend to come there, I wouldn't want it. So the property I have is it's a reason to pull people that I love together.
Yeah.
That's my invitation to you. Like imagine like, hey, Peter, come to my house in Delray for like 4 or 5 days. Like, no thanks. Like, what am I going to do? Like out there, it's amazing. There's so much
Yeah,
to
come to
do.
my farm. Let's go.
Yeah,
Like
that's a reason to
that's a
come.
different invite, right? I'll cook
Totally.
out and we'll grill and we'll do. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's awesome stuff to do. There's hunting, there's horseback riding. It's super fun. So I'm a big fan of you buying that land. So
All
hopefully,
right.
hopefully you do it.
Well, hopefully I just
If-
continue to think this, Craig, forever and ever.
yeah.
I got this. This is. I don't know if I've. Well, I
Is
did
it
send
sharp?
to you. Yeah, it's sharp, dude. So this is what I'm holding. If you're listening in the car, is a giant sword. Not giant. Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's giant. It's 30.
It's a
30
saber,
inches.
actually. So in Cabo, I have been talking about family and friends, Craig. I've done this tradition where in my family, mainly for my kids, when they do something that's kind of above and beyond or something that I want to concrete with a memorable thing,
Mhm.
we take this saber, and this isn't the one. This is the one I just showed you was for Bulletproof, but we take the saber and we go saber a bottle of sparkling orange apple juice for them, right?
Can I
And
ask you a technical question real quick?
yes.
When you cut it, does it break the bottle?
No, it breaks
Oh, it
because
just
these are designed to cut the bottle. So I
Oh
have a
wait, it does,
video.
but it does cut the bottle though, correct?
Oh,
Where
it
it takes the
top
cap.
takes the top right off.
Okay, but does it break
Yeah,
glass?
it's raw glass.
That's crazy to me.
Why?
I don't know. I
Let
just
my
feel
kids
like
do this?
I don't know. I just feel like there's like a glass shards in there. I don't know. I don't want to eat
No.
glass.
Dude, where
Keep
this
going.
became popular
I know
was
everybody does it. Just
well,
that's the
no,
way my
in
brain thinks.
Telluride, we do it all the time, right? At this one lodge, and everyone, it's called the beach. It's up in the middle of the mountain, and music's going, and people are just sabering, like bottles of champagne, which is fun.
Oh yeah.
And I
There's a
remember
place like this in
every one of
Aspen.
those things, and I was like, I don't remember all my kids' events, and I don't have a good memory of little allocations of life, and so
You throw a little savory and
you
champagne in
can.
there,
And
and it
so I remember
cements
saying
that
that.
memory.
I remember saying that in our mastermind in Cabo, and me saying how, and I tried to use a knife to saber something. I didn't work well. And I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm going to bring the saber to Salt Lake for our next mastermind. And I was like, and then I went so far, Craig, and I was like, not only did I get the saber, but now you see I got it engraved. It says I am bulletproof on it.
It's a
So
pretty nice saber, by the
dude,
way.
it's amazing.
You are like the guru of Chinese customized manufacturing.
I really am.
Yeah.
I've gotten good because whether it was lake trampolines or
Or
toothbrushes.
branded toothbrushes for ADS.
That's
Yeah.
right. I've become excellent at.
How is your Mandarin?
Not good, but Alibaba has a converter, so I'm good.
That's awesome. So you're fluent. One day they'll meet you. They'll be shocked you're a Caucasian.
Speaking of
Caucasians.
conversation, we're gonna do it. We're gonna end this pod, but we're gonna do an AI pod. Because I've been
that
losing,
GPT-3.
Hold on, I've been losing myself lately, losing my mind. I'm gonna show you some things live, and it's gonna make you pick up all the pieces to your brain and put them back together because you're gonna be like, "What the hell?" But I'm gonna do it live on a pod because I have some I am as interested in AI right now as I was interested in crypto in 2015, 16.
That's awesome.
Okay. And it's taking me down the same wormholes.
Well, hopefully you can make me as much money in this as you did
I'll make
in
money from it,
Bitcoin.
but it's just fucking fascinating
That's awesome.
how it's going to transform the world. I know we were all over the place today, but it was good to, I miss Dwight and Trey, especially for the intros. Dwight, miss you guys, but sometimes it's nice to me and you just to have this is like a dialogue you and I always have, by the way, which is so funny.
I know.
Just
it's the same dialogue we always do.
Some of them aren't recorded. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hope everyone's having a nice holiday season, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.
Oh.
What's up? Don't hang up yet.
Don't hang up. Don't hang the phone. We've locked down. Should we talk about the summit, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Holy smokes. I totally forgot.
That just happened
last minute. Yeah, last minute edition.
Because it hasn't been announced, and by the time this pod comes, hopefully it is because registration. But the cool thing, dude, I got to tell you, and I know I said this with everyone, but the fact that
this one's easily to say. Whatever we said. I mean, Nashville's amazing. Don't get me wrong. It was an awesome event. But how would you feel if we said we were going to Las Vegas at the Wynn Hotel? Not Circus like I wanted to because of that roast beef for $4.99, but the Wynn.
That's not
the freaking Wynn. I mean, that's where you and I would go if we were just going to hang.
It's crazy, honestly. And for us to take the leap, because honestly, when you do a conference, and those of you probably who have experience in that, you have to plunk down a large amount of money just to say, we believe in the process, we believe in this. And so it's scary to put down a 500, this auditorium we're getting and the amount of meals we're getting and the things,
But the cool thing, by the way,
I
mean, obviously we're excited about every summit and new content and just larger venues. And I mean, Vegas has its own special draw, but I see a lot of, without mentioning names, I see a lot of offices investing in their team for these quote reward trips, and they go have fun. Right. And these fun trips,
cruise boats or something.
Yeah. I mean, they're all fine. They're all great. There's many iterations of these fun trips, but the one thing I always come back, I'm like, well, did your team learn anything? Well, we weren't really expecting to learn anything. It was more of a reward trip. Why can't you have it all? Why can't you have a fun trip that actually proves to be an ROI for your practice? And that's exactly what the Bulletproof Dental Summit is. It's a true ROI. And I mean, we still have our 10 times guarantee. It won't be any different for Vegas. So if you can take your team and actually implement what you learn, you will make more than 10 times what you spent in the coming year, which is crazy. And the cool thing about what we did with the Vegas trip is it's actually incentivized, because if you go right now, at least time of recording, and try to book a hotel at the Wynn right now, a year out, it's August 11th, by the way. If you go out right now and try to book August 11th and 12th or 13th, it's going to be about $400 or $500 right now.
No, it's $700. I just looked it up.
So $700 now, but guess what? It's going to be like May or June, a lot more. And our rooms are what? 200
Two 209 and
209.
299 for the
So
209 and 299 for Friday, Saturday.
so
But
so right there is like the cost of the summit ticket and the difference between with that
we're
real estate.
really
I mean,
pushing
that
Lacey. Hopefully this comes out. We're really pushing Lacey. I was like, Lacey, and you and I felt very strongly about this. Craig is
yeah, it has to go on
owners.
immediately.
We were like, we got to have this. And she was like, really want to launch this year? And I was like, well, we really
Of
need to
course,
because it
of
helps
course.
out so many people who had great years and they
Right.
want to take advantage of the tax benefit before
Yeah,
the
you
end of the
spend it
year.
this year, you don't pay the taxes. It's true.
So hopefully, if you've signed up to get informed or you're on Mighty Networks, we'll announce it.
Yeah, as
Because
soon as it comes out, you'll have it. But also what we did this year is we made some really special pricing as well so that you can bring your whole team. So it's gonna be like buy
yeah,
10,
we
get
changed
10,
the
buy
pricing
20, get
for
20.
sure.
Yeah.
The pricing is definitely more favorable now versus last year. It was the same ticket price for anyone. Now we've adjusted it because
Well,
we heard you loud and clear. We want
but
people
we
wanted to
also
bring more
see
team.
we also see the people that actually pony up and bring their teams, how much easier it is to implement. Peter, it's the most annoying thing ever when you and I learn something and we wish we had our team there. And we've heard it so many times. I wish I would have brought my team. I wish I would have brought my team. When's the next one? And they're far apart, and they're not exactly yearly. So bring your team this year. It will sell out like always. And those room blocks will all sell out as well. So as soon as these come live, whatever that is, hopefully before the end of the year, pull trigger. And plus you don't pay the tax on the things you expend this year as well.
Yep, obviously. That's it. I'm glad we snuck that in.
Yeah, thanks for
Who
knows-
remembering that.
Who knows Yeah.
when this will who knows when this will go. So of course it'll be on bulletproofsummit.com when we announce. But anyway, all right, bud. I got to scoot.
Okay, bud. Nice to see you.
See ya.